Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 242. I am your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Anita Brown. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Now, it's a special half-hour edition. You can say anything you want, talk about anything you want. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Basically, I am an aspiring actor. So I kind of like that term. A lot of people say I shouldn't use it because I've done too much to say I'm still aspiring. But the way I feel is with anything, you should always be trying to grow and learn more. So by saying I'm aspiring, that leaves me open to still more things that I may not know thus far. So it keeps me open and able to want to learn different things about the industry and what it takes to be a successful actor. So therefore, I like to say I'm aspiring.
No, absolutely. Now, who influenced you to become an actress? And right, go ahead.
I'm trying to think because it's a little bit of everything. My mom used to model. So actually, when I started out, I started in modeling. So it didn't start with just acting. I started in modeling because obviously mommy was doing it. So, she did it before. So I was like, I want to be like mommy. And I started in modeling. And then after doing it for a little bit, I don't think me and the modeling world really clicked very well because I had my ideas of what was beautiful and some of my ideas drastically differed from what their ideas were. So then I decided, well, why not acting? And from then I decided to start saving and everything, doing all that I needed to do, headshots, all of that. Found an amazing coach who was LA based, but she'd hold workshops here in Chicago. And anytime I needed help or whatever, she'd be willing to help me out, work with me and things along those lines. And I think because of that, all of that influenced me. Not to mention growing up in a family where my older brother was an aspiring rapper. My twin brother, he used to produce music, beats, and stuff like that for my older brother and his friends and stuff like that. So my family was kind of a creative bunch. So it just made sense.
All right. Now, who would you say were your favorite actors to work with? And what TV shows and movies were you in?
Most of my movies are all independent. So a lot of them are independent films. There are a couple of web series that were out. One of the web series, we had the premiere. Don't know if the web series is going to continue, but that was In the Loop. And I played one of the principal characters, Angela. The other web series was Black Women Don't Deserve to Be Loved. And that was by Danny and Steven Spike. And that one is still being filmed, I believe. They're picking up production again soon. And I got to go to Miami to shoot that. So that was fun. And then the other one's Delusions of Grandeur, that was shot here in Chicago. That ran its course. I don't know if they're ever going to pick up a second season of it, but it was fun to be on the first one. And for films, oh, God, see. Trying to say all the films without making any of the films that I have been in not feel like I'm ignoring them. So, okay. Not discrediting any productions I've been on. I'm putting that out there now. But I would say one of my favorite films to date, or film series that it's now become, is the Crisis Function series. We shot the first one, and it was interesting. Nathan Brendan Masters, he's the writer and the director of it. And we shot it. He used to teach. He taught film and stuff like that. And he wanted to see if it was at all possible for him to shoot a full-length feature film in like 5 to 7 days, if it was at all possible. And I'm sure you know, most productions can take a couple of months to shoot. Nathan wanted to see if he could pull it off. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, would you be interested in playing the lead character in this? And I'm like, oh, God, what? 5 to 7 days to shoot a full-length feature. Are you kidding me? But I think the challenge was intriguing enough, you know? It was more of that, well, if we don't do it, okay, we don't do it. But, oh, my God, what if we do? Then this will be awesome. So he was like, I told him I was on board, and then I'd worked with him on another project. And I know, like, you have your learning disability, but I also have type 1 diabetes, which is also considered a disability as well. And since my last time working with Nathan, I transitioned over onto an insulin pump. So the pump, it stays attached to me, and with it being an action film he was creating, obviously I had to be like, well, you know, let me know what the choreo is going to be, because I want to make sure my insulin pump is in the right area, so that way it doesn't get kicked, or it doesn't, you know, doesn't impale me or something, you know. So he was like, oh, that's great. And he's like, well, we'll just make the character a type 1 diabetic. And I was like, whoa, wait, seriously? And he was like, yes, he wanted to do that. And by doing that, we opened the market, because how often do you see a type 1 action film star? You know, you don't see it. And not just the type 1 action film star, but where my insulin pump is so visibly displayed on camera. And that was one of the things he wanted to work on. So he wanted me to always have it like on my arms. So that way, when I'm in a fight, like if I throw a punch, you still see it on the arm. If I'm blocking, you can still see it on the arm and everywhere. He wanted the insulin pump to be seen. And we shot the film in 4 days. And it was well received, not just by the type 1 diabetic community, but by everyone else, you know. And the feedback that I received was shocking. Most people thought I was a regular actress pretending to be a type 1 diabetic, and then they started looking into my websites and stuff like that, and then they realized, oh my gosh, she really is a diabetic. So everything I was doing in the film was not stunts. It was real. You know, I had to give myself an insulin injection because my insulin pump had deactivated in the middle of filming. And Nathan just kept rolling. Like, he didn't cut the camera. He was like, we've already said your character's a diabetic, so of course your character would have no problem doing an insulin injection in front of her friends, because that's what you would do. So, like, he just kept the scene going all while I had to deliver my insulin for real. So I thought it was just really cool. And because of the feedback, we're now working on Crisis Function Awakening. So that's the sequel to Crisis Function. And it goes into why type 1 diabetics are being targeted and things like that. So it's it's a project that comes really close to my heart, because it's something that I know future type 1 diabetics can look to this and be like, oh my God, she can do that. So if she can do that, there's nothing I can't do. And that was the whole purpose and the whole reason why I was grateful that he wanted to make the film about a type 1 lead action fighter, things like that. So that's one of my favorite productions.
All right. No, I'm just looking for my piece of paper. Let's see, where was it? Oh, don't mind me. I'm from this, so I get just in one of those moods. So I just had a shitty day. Basically, I was looking for like a part-time job, because
right.
you know, I found a marketing company. And I don't mean to bitch to you. I apologize, but I found a marketing company that wants to work with me. I said, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a job. So I went out and I was looking, and I was being jerked around. So I'm just kind of like, no, it isn't directed at you. It's just kind of like, you ever notice when you want to do something, people jerk you around, but when you don't want to do something, like, hey, we have this for you. Do you want it? And it's kind of like, that's the hate being jerked around.
No, I think everybody should hate that, but you know, sometimes they do it because they know people will bite. So that's the important thing. They was like, you know, if we do this, they might get a little frustrated, but they still do it. You know,
right.
And that's why they do it.
I went into the store Coach, and they said, oh, you want to be a cashier? You have to come in 4 in the morning. Nope, not doing that. I'm a stock worker, 4 in the morning. Nope. Okay, well, if you want to be a cashier, you have to close. Okay. I guess I can find a taxi that works past 9. Yeah, we close at 9, but you have to stay to 10 to 11. It's like, don't forget. I'm not doing that. If you can't work normal hours, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's true. It makes sense.
Especially I don't drive.
Well, yeah, you're in New York, so you would think there would be. Well, no, New York never sleeps, so never mind. I take that back.
Well, if I was in the city, that would be fine. But I'm upstate, and I think the taxis close about 9:30. So yeah, okay. Realistically, you wanted me to work to 9. Then 9 o'clock, if that's it, I'm out the door. Well, maybe we can stay a little bit longer. It's like, no, unless you're driving me home. I'm not staying here. Hey, that's a new one. I said it to people. You want me to stay late, you're going to drive me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should see the looks on people's faces. Like, no, you can leave early.
Anywhere?
It's just ridiculous. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. And let's see, when does this one expire? I have, and now I'm going to pass it to you after I do this real quick thing. Is for people, and this is perfect for you because you're an actress. For anyone who wants a celebrity endorsement or recommendation or just a video, go to celebritym.com. I'm on there. You should be on there. I'll give you a perfect example. You're on there. You want a personal message from you. And Mrs. Brown, I'm a big fan of yours. Let's use us for a scenario. Mrs. Brown, I'm a big fan of yours. Can you say, I don't know, for example, because you get paid for saying everything. So, my friend's getting married. Today's my birthday. Or my brother's birthday's coming up. My friend got a new job, or whatever recommendation you want the person to say, the celebrity will say, and you get paid for saying it. So if you want one of mine's $30. You pay me $30. I say anything you want. You should be on there. You can ask for any amount of money you want. There's Dennis Rodman. It's ridiculous. He wants $500 for like a video thing. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna pay $500 for a 20-second little thing. Get the hell out of here.
It's Dennis Rodman. Everyone knows who he is.
And the cheapest is 20. Okay, that's fine. I can swallow 20. But like I said, 500. Who the hell is gonna pay 500 for a 20-second? Okay, if you do like an hour video, that's fine. But there's people like Brooke Hogan who wants 200. Some are professional wrestlers are 100. If you have 100 for a round, that's fine. But it's like $500. You know what you can do with that? Anyway, the other one is let's see, today's the 13th, so this should be good until now, until the 16th. For people, are you a fan of Target?
The store?
Yes.
They started picking up one of the diabetic clutches that I bought. So because they picked up that clutch, I'm kind of happy for Target now.
I have my other thing all set up for the 17th. That's my other promotion. But until the 16th, I think they didn't really clarify to me if it was in the store or online. But if you go to Target, go to Target.com, go in the store. Anything on clearance, you get a 60% off. Expect more, pay less. I haven't done it as a way, so that's why I'm hesitating. But, I have Target as an trying to think of the word now. Affiliation. I have Celebrity VM as an affiliation. And I would love to work with you if you know any different affiliations. But going back to the break now, would you be interested in being a celebrity on Celebrity VM? And has anyone ever approached you about being, like an endorsement or doing commercials or doing whatever I just did?
Well, not in that aspect. I'd say not really. One of the commercials I did was for the Go Bond lotion. and it was for a parts model. So they needed someone with nice hands and feet because it was actually a diabetic lotion. So my feet and my hands are more famous than me because of that commercial. But it was fun because I was flown to New York for it. So I was actually in, New York City, downtown, all of that. Like, yeah, it was really awesome. I think my hotel was literally 2.5, 3 blocks away from Madison Square, which was like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, it was really awesome. But my feet and hands are more important or more popular than I am. So all because of that one commercial, that one little commercial that everyone saw. My sister called me and she was like, I just saw your feet on TV. I was like, oh, great. Yay. Like, yay.
Well, how did she know it was you?
Oh, she said she knows my feet and hands. So she was like, she knew it was me the minute she saw it. She was like, those look familiar. And she was like, those are my sister's feet. So, yeah, I was like, so. Hey, the popularity of my feet and hands, awesome.
Hey, as a start, you have to start somewhere.
That's true. I think I enjoyed it, too, because, like I said, I'm all about, like, promoting a more positive aspect of being a type 1 diabetic. And, doing things like that enables me to still showcase being a diabetic without it taking away from being considered for projects and things like that. Like, that's what I'm trying to push for right now. Like, I've been turned down for some projects because they didn't want to see the insulin pump. They wanted to know, did I have to film with my insulin pump on? And I'm like, well, I could take it off. I might die, but, yeah. And, so it's like, I've been passed up in some print ads because they didn't want to come up with the money to airbrush the insulin pump out of the picture. So, yeah, it's annoying little nicks like that really tick me off, but I feel like it's mostly because as a type 1 diabetic community, we've spent so long trying to hide this disease from the public eye. And I feel like if we stop trying to hide it, then we're going to show everyone we're just as normal as you. We got some things that make us different, like a lot of the times we eat because we have to eat, not because we're hungry, which is like the most annoying thing in the world. Because if my glucose levels are dropping, but I'm not hungry, I still have to put food in my system. And it's annoying to have to live by that code. But we have to, You guys can eat and not have to worry about, did I give myself enough insulin to counter what I'm getting ready to put into my system? Or did I give myself too much insulin and I didn't eat enough? Like, those are the little intricacies we live with on a daily basis. And I feel like if we make them more public, make them more obvious, and people can see them and see that even with this, we can still do all this other stuff, that might help change the perception of being a type 1 diabetic and what is considered beautiful, what is considered sexy, what is considered a star, and things along those lines. So that's really been my focus going forward as an actor. Like, I want to change that perception.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you some hard-hitting questions. But I do want to talk about disabilities because, that is what I've been trying to overcome. But before I ask you the hard-hitting questions, 2 things I want to run past. You mentioned, when you said take off the insulin pump, I can take off my insulin pump, but I can die. It just reminded me of a funny joke from The Simpsons. I think it was either Krusty or it was Homer. And Homer, one of them says, how about I just roll over and die? And someone says, that would be acceptable. And
Wow.
the other one was, there's this All in the Family, where it's Archie Bunker.
Oh, God, that's a blast from the past.
There's a part, I can send you the clip, I just have to find it. Edith says, Archie, I thought the government was supposed to or how's it? Archie, I thought the government was supposed to take care of people. Edith, the government doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's Archie.
That was a great show. It was racist, so it had some moments in it, but it was really funny.
It was an accurate show. I used to watch that with my dad. I watched that, Sanford and Son. Yeah. Yep. That was what I watched with my dad when I was growing up.
And you know what? It's better than what we have today.
Yes. Yes. So much better.
Now, next question I was going to ask you was, now it's the disabilities. Actually, I'm going to save that for you. I'm going to pass the show over to you now. Was there anything you wanted to ask me? Anything you wanted to talk about? This is your time, after all.
So I know you stated, like, we've communicated back and forth, and I know you stated that you do want to run a show, like, showcasing that someone with a learning disability should or can do anything and things like that. Now, like I told you, one of the things I've had to encounter is not being cast for stuff because of the fact that they don't want to see the pump, or in a photo shoot. I don't know if you know anything about modeling, but airbrushing something out of a shot can be really expensive. So by default, they have to go with the model that would cost less money for airbrushing than the model that would cost more money to get anything airbrushed in the photo. So with you, do you feel like you want to run your talk show?
Until I die.
Okay, so do you feel like you might want to start upping the ante of how you do your talk shows and the subject matters that it's based upon, the people that you're talking to? Because there are rules and standards in this industry. You know, like, it comes with the territory. Like, I know as a type 1 diabetic, I might be on set for 16 hours. Food may not be readily available, but in order for me to comply with what's expected of me, I need to know I got to bring my own snacks, or I might have to suspend my insulin for an extended amount of time so my levels don't drop too low. I have an emergency glucagon shot, so just in case it does drop low, it can be provided so I don't interfere with how production is running for, that particular project. Most other actors never have to consider that or do that or worry about those issues, but if I want to stay on the same standard as other actors, it comes with additionals that I have to do so I can still be considered part of the industry. Do you feel like the same you're going to have to start doing, or you're going to have to work on, or any adjustments you might have to make so your talk show can be considered in the same field as other talk shows that are currently out there and doing well?
Well, let's go back to the disability part first. Actually, I answer your question. Actually, screw so there's all one big thing. On the disability part is, it's like, oh, you say you have a disability, but we don't see it. And it's like, there's hundreds of, just almost at thousands, but that's kind of stretching it. There's hundreds of different types of disabilities. There's what you have, but some people would debate saying it is a disability, but it isn't a disability, but I'm not going to argue. Do whatever makes you happy. There's people who are in the bubble. People like said to me, you say you have a disability, but you don't look it. Okay, look up disabled in the picture, or handicapped in the picture, or mentally challenged or retarded, and you see a person with their hand either like this or that or whatever, and it's like, we don't look anything like that. Well, some of it I hide. There's physical and there's mental.
Mm-hmm.
I don't physical, it's like there's nothing wrong with my body. And mentally, I suffer from depression. I have anxiety. I have ADD, ADHD. I can't spell for shit. I can say words, but I can't spell. I'm doing the best I can. I'm pretty much like you, except for it's going to be scaled back. I give you a perfect example. This business card I got from, I have no idea what store this is from, but I got this card, and say it had like 100 words on it. and they had like hip hop panopticus, or just make up like a heavy duty word, and I want to know what it is. So to remember that word when I was doing a acting thing like you were doing, I would have to repeat it 10 or 15 times over and over and over so it sinks in. For you, you can do it once or maybe 5 times, but for me, I have to repeatedly hit the hammer with the nail, hit the nail with the hammer, so eventually sinks in. People say that's why I'm dense. I'm a little stiff, maybe so. I do stupid things that I bring on myself, not deliberately, but I do things that I do bring on myself. Not saying I'm gonna be an asshole today. No, I don't do that. I just people lose their temper with me because it's my mannerisms, and it's this whole big thing. And with the disability thing, we expect you to be one way. Okay, so you expect me to be retarded and handicapped, so you expect me to be slow, incoherent, and whatever. But I interviewed this guy. He said, "Well, you're defining the odds by saying you're handicapped, you're mentally challenged, you're retarded, whatever. Yet you have a talk show, and there's no one in history who's ever said they had this, and they did a talk show. So now, because I'm doing something, creating something that it's unusual, people are now being, throwing shit against the wall and saying, "Oh, how can we ruin this for you?" But you can't please everyone. I want to do this until I die, and I swear to God on that. I really want to do this until I die, because this makes me happy. It gives me a lot of joy in it. And, I'm doing the best I can. It would be nice if people helped me. I had people make suggestions. My brother told me to use Skype Recorder. So thanks to him, I'm now using Skype Recorder. The PR people told me my introduction was a little too long. And it's like, it wasn't that long. It's like only 30 seconds. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you, so that's now still 30 seconds, but, it's different. That was one. And, it's the editing. I know we did a demo interview, and that wasn't my best work. But, it's got to be hit and miss. It's not going to be A-plus material. As you said, you can't have hold yourself to a higher standard. For an example for that, I'm not always going to have actors on my show. I'm not always going to have actresses. I'm going to have people with disabilities, people without disabilities. I interview everyone: white people, black people, Spanish, Asian, everyone and everyone, gays. They're more than welcome. And like I said, everyone's welcome as long as I feel comfortable doing the interview. And, if I'm not comfortable doing an interview, then I'm going to come off shitty. The person's going to come off really bad, and it's going to be a bad joke. So it's basically a work in progress. But wrapping up, I'm going to ask you some hard-hitting questions and subjects. So I'm going to ask you 3 hard-hitting subjects, gloves off, and then I'm going to pass it to you, and you can ask me any 3 hidden I haven't done my interviews as of late, so you can notice I'm stuttering more, part of my disability. I'm going to ask you 3 hard-hitting subjects, and it's uncensored, and I'm going to pass it to you, and you can ask me anything you want, gloves off. So the first one going on with everything going on, and you may know where I'm going with this, is where do you stand on Black Lives Matter?
I have no stance on that one because my husband is a police officer. So my husband just recently came home and he said he needed to make sure that everything financial was put into place just in case something happened to him, I would still be taken care of. So for everyone who says Black Lives Matter, you don't know what those of us who are married to police officers and law enforcement and things like that, like the fact that my husband's been an officer for what? Our entire marriage, which is like 12 years, and not once has he ever had to come home and tell me, I'm going to make sure everything is in place just in case something happens to me. Not once until all this shit started happening. And he's worried he'll come out of work and just get shot because he's wearing a badge. He's not a bad guy. He helps out for anyone. He's reported officers who fucked up and shit before. But now he's got to have that worry. Now he's got to worry about whether or not just because he wears his uniform, someone's going to see him as a target. And no, I'm completely against that. I still stand by all lives matter.
No,
I'm not saying police officers who do corrupt and fucked up shit should not be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Because yes, I do agree with that. But at the same time, I also agree with randomly shooting innocent police officers who's done absolute shit to you. You should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law as well. Like, no, everyone's life matters. It matters to someone. Anyone who takes a life that was not justified deserves to be punished. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what position you have. That's my stance on that. So, no.
You know what? I agree. You took the words right out of my mouth. You know, I agree with you 100%. And I tell you what, if you want to rewind the time, rewind the years of that, if this happened around 9/11, you know, look at it like this. If this happened, you know, after 9/11, people say, how many black police officers gave their lives to save people in 9/11? The one in the World Trade Towers. How many gave them lives? And you can't do the math because they're heroes.
So many people lost their lives because of 9/11. And they were police officers. They were firefighters. They were the medical alerts teams and stuff like that. They were all there, and they didn't give a damn who was what color. They just wanted to help. And yes, that is what that position entails. It is supposed to be helping people. It is supposed you take on that position knowing you're putting your life at risk every single day. And that deserves some amount of respect because not everyone could do that job. Not everyone can do that job, and it takes a lot. And those of us who are married to those people, same thing with the people that are in the military and army and things like that. What we go through on a daily fucking basis, wondering if our spouses are ever going to come home. No, that's not something I'd wish on anyone. So, yeah, people need to be a little bit more considerate in what they say and in how they conduct things. Because I still believe if we all carried respect and love for ourselves and for everyone else, all of this shit would no longer be an issue. But we don't do that. People in law, there are bad apples in law enforcement who don't do that, and there are bad apples in the world who don't do that. And those are the bad apples that are causing the problems right now.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. You know, and in every race, it doesn't matter what's the white people, because you have the normal hard-working people, then you have the white trash. And then it was the blacks and Spanish, you have the normal hard-working people, and then you have the gangbangers. And then it was the Asian. There's always going to be...
There's bad apples for everyone. No one is 100% pure and innocent. And no. Everyone's got that, you know. We even got some people in our own families where we're just like, no, we ain't related to them. Like, okay? Like, you know, you got people in your family, you just like, oh, why do I got to share your DNA? Okay, we all got someone in our family we not really happy with the choice they've made in their lives, decisions they've made. We all got that. But that doesn't mean that they don't deserve the respect or they don't deserve to live the life that was given to them, period. And that's all it boils down to.
No, absolutely. Now, before I ask you the next subject, I actually almost got into an argument with someone who I interviewed. She was doing this post but I do want to know your opinion first. I was watching Fox News. Do you watch Fox News?
Very few and far between.
Okay. Well, it's not that perfect. But yesterday there was a news, I was watching Bill O'Reilly, and he said there's a reporter who went over to the group of Black Lives Matter, and said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a question? Why are you here?" The guy basically spun around and says, "Why the fuck are you here?" And then the guy and then the other girl was saying, "Get the fuck out of here." And so he asked you a question. And so basically, and then the second question I was going to ask you is, when is this going to end? Because I said to my friend who I interviewed that, it's a whole Black Lives Matter, and I do an air quotes, because all lives matter. And that's what I said to her. And she flipped out on me. It's like, how dare you say all lives matter? You don't know what that... What about the elephant that got killed? Does his life matter?
Well, it's what I told people. Their stance is incorrect. Police brutality has been a problem in this world for the longest time.
Yep.
And we've always segregated it, which is why it's still a problem in the world. If a life is taken at the hands of a police officer, it was wrong. It was basically a homicide. And we don't speak out for all the lives that were taken unjustly by police officers. Police brutality is going to stay. We can't address this with a segregated mind frame. We have to address it as a whole. We fought it long time ago, back when Dr. King and Malcolm X were fighting for this. And look at that. Because we segregated the issue then, it's still an issue today. So that should show proof that segregating it and only speaking out when it's a black person's life taken at the hand of a white officer, it's not going to get heard. We need to stand united on this. If you got a white person's life taken by the hands of a white police officer, it's still wrong, and it should still be spoken about. If you got a black person's life taken by a black police officer unjustly, again, we need to speak up about it. We need to address it on all fronts, not just because a white officer took a black life unjustly. That's the only reason we want to speak and we want to protest. No, it should be for every life that is taken unjustly by and due to police brutality, because that's the problem. It has shit to do with the color of someone's skin or the police officer being white or black or any of that. It's the brutality aspect of it. And that cannot be segregated. It has to be addressed in a unified fashion, because that's the only way it's going to cause or force any kind of change, any kind of acknowledgement. Like I said, we were dealing with this back with Dr. King and Malcolm X, and look at this. We're here today dealing with the same subject today. Something needs to change, and that is our mentality of how to address it.
Now, go back 8 years ago, before President Obama was president. None of this was happening. Everything was fine.
No, it wasn't. It was happening. It just wasn't being
but it wasn't to the extreme.
Well, because I think what changed, honestly, is social media.
Yeah.
Social media became extremely more of a reliant source, and you'll even see news reporters grabbing their stories initially from what they saw on a Facebook post, and that forces them to go out and figure out what the heck happened. Now let me do my story and things like that. I think with the rise of the social media world, it's forced a light on an issue that has always been there. Police brutality never went anywhere. Now, just like I said, there are good and there are bad. People do not automatically assume all doctors are wrong because of one doctor who had multiple malpractice problems. They don't say, well, all you motherfucking doctors got fucked up and y'all all need to be eliminated and shit. Like, no one says that, okay? No one says that about the bad doctors that exist in the world. It's always, well, that was just a one-case scenario. But yet, police officers, all of a sudden, all police are bad. All police need to be removed and all. Like, no, you can't say that. There are bad apples with all of us. And the thing with police brutality is, I still feel most of the people who get involved in the police force are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They really do want to make a change. But you got those bad apples that are there because they need that boost to their ego. They want to feel like they're in a position of power and no one can tell them what to do. And those are the ones that we need to deal with. Those are the ones that need to be addressed. Those are the ones that need to be removed from that position of power because they're using that position of power incorrectly. Not the good officers that are doing their job, busting their ass, losing their lives, trying to help us. I'm talking about the bad ones. They need to be removed from that position. They need to be removed from any position, anywhere, and I don't care what color their skin is. It just needs to happen, and we need to stand together, all races, all sexes, all ethnicities. We need to stand together on this cause because that's the only way it's going to get a solution.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I do think the media causes more problems than anything.
Yep.
Well, except for my show. My show doesn't do anything. So you can't throw me under the bus. I work in my ass off to turn this into something, Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, there's always something like a bizarre story. But, I'm going to pass this show over to you, but I want to ask you one thing. Is it was all lives matter? And does that considered for animals too? Like, there's a news story about an elephant being killed because there's a lot of poachers out there that take lives. But do you think that it's the same thing? A life is a life. No one has a right to take a life.
Okay, see, this is going back to animals in their natural habitat. I'm sorry, they're animals. What did you expect? It's like, I'm not saying their life is more important than a human life, but, if I'm going on the African safari where I got lions and tigers and shit walking alongside of the car, I'm sorry, I'm not going. Because it just takes one animal to get a little irritated, a little uncomfortable, and they're going to go to their basic instinct, which is to eliminate what they perceive is a threat. You ain't gonna find me on no safari in a little van with some tigers and bears crawling around me. I'm sorry, no, I'm not doing that. No, because they're animals. It's like, yeah, they do have some type of, I guess, rational thought or understanding at the same time, but it's not to our level, where we know as humans right from wrong. We can't necessarily say that animals know that same thing, And you can't train a bear to do, like, come on, people, let's get smart here. So no, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. Like, no, animals are animals for a reason. I feel like they should have the freedom to roam and be where they want to be, but at the same time, let's try not to have our dumbasses in that same area and then we're penalizing them for killing one of us. I'm sorry, that's just my rationale on that subject. No, they're animals for a reason. If we stay out of their habitat and homes and we're not threatening them, I have a feeling they wouldn't even pay us no attention. They will focus on what they're supposed to do, which is protecting their species, protecting their lives, and doing what they need to do for themselves, just like we feel justified in doing what we need to do to preserve our lives. They're the same way. They just don't know how to reel it in as often as they should, and we can't expect them to do that.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, was there any subjects you wanted to talk about? This is your time, after all.
So with, I know a lot of, or I've read of actors that might have some reading disabilities and things like that. So obviously learning scripts and stuff like that are somewhat difficult for them, but yet they still put in the extra work and the extra time because they have to. This industry it's slowly changing, but it's not changing to the extent that it needs to be. So I honestly feel like there's a bar that has been set. There's like the minimum. expectations for anyone entering into this industry. And I feel like everyone entering in needs to adhere to that bare minimum. Because once you get over that bare minimum, then you'll start being recognized, being seen, being considered, and from that standpoint on, you will be in the power to make that change. So do you see that as something you might want to look into? Like trying and doing what you can to at least reach that bare minimum, so now you get some recognition, some acknowledgement, and by default, you can start initiating a change that you think needs to come, and it will deal with the learning disabilities and things along those lines. Do you feel like you should at least hit that bare minimum, or do you think you'd be able to still be as successful without having to at least do the bare minimum to be considered and seen?
Could I have a perfect example, please?
Let's see. Like with me, there are some days on set where they will put me in a long sleeve shirt, even if it's 90 degrees outside, because they don't want my insulin pump being seen.
Right.
Am I happy with that decision? Hell no. Not happy with it at all. But I'm not yet in that position of power to make it more easily accessible. However, what was it? Miss Ohio? Oh, I can't remember her name. Sierra, she was competing in the Miss America pageant. And I think she won. It was either, I'm almost certain it was Miss Ohio. Oh, if I'm so wrong, I'm so sorry, Sierra. I do apologize. But they have the swimsuit competition, and they walk on stage in their swimsuit. And she got mass recognition because she was one of, there's only been a couple of type 1 diabetics that have actually gone as far as she has, but she had her insulin pump on her bikini to be seen by the whole world. And everyone was like, holy crap, did she really just do this? Like, she wore her insulin pump. Like, really, is it really that big of a shocker? Come on now. It's a medical device that keeps us alive. But everyone was just like, oh, did you see what she did? Like, really? It's not that big a deal, people. You know, like, for us, it's a daily lifestyle. Like, trust me, I think I would know I didn't put my insulin pump on before I remembered to put my wedding band on. No disrespect to my husband, just in case he's watching this. But my insulin pump is like, oh crap, I didn't put my pump on. Like, I'll go and attend to that and walk out the house without my wedding band. So like, it becomes like it's what we have to do.
Right.
You know? So for me, being on a set where they want my pump to be hidden, it irks me because I don't have the luxury to take it off and not have to wear it and things like that, because I've been under such great and better control because of this little life-saving device, and it's changed my whole life and my ability to do almost anything. But in this industry, I have yet to make myself that well known. So I'm still working on that bare minimum. Like, I'm still working on getting to that bare minimum. And I'm doing everything to the book. You know, like, I'll do a photo shoot where I'm taking a full body photo and things like that. And then I'll do a photo shoot where you can see my insulin pump 100% displayed. And I do them both because I know some agencies are going to want to see it with the insulin pump, but a lot will not want to see that insulin pump anywhere on my body. And I need to show them it can be hidden if you don't want to see it, because I still got to reach that bare minimum before I can force a change. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I'm still doing. Like, I've been doing this for 7 years now, and I'm still working on hitting that bare minimum. So going forward, I can start making a change. So that's what I'm asking. Do you feel there's a bare minimum you still need to overcome, you still need to get to, so that way going forward from that point on, you can start making the changes in how everything is addressed, how everything is done, how everything is accepted?
Well, first off, with your insulin pump, if you know, it should be seen because, you know, there's no excuse why you should hide it. as a part of life, number one. And that, using that as an example, was my disability, or anyone who has disabilities. You shouldn't be embarrassed of it. That you should just say, what's the commercial? Here I am. I don't remember what I said. I just remember that part. See me, here I am, or whatever. But it's basically what I'm just trying to put together is if you're capable of doing a job, if you're 100% able, like I said, to do the job, then you should do any job. It doesn't matter that, I'm handicapped, but I want to be a talk show host, or you want to be an actress and you walk around with your insulin pump. What's that have to do with anyone else? And that doesn't bother them. You're getting through day by day. You're trying to reach your goals. And you, like I said, there's a lot of bad apples, and you can't please everyone. If you try to please everyone, then you're going to set yourself up for failure. I know that. There's a lot of actors and actresses that I please, and yeah, my family still thumbs their nose at it. But you can't please everyone, and it's our job to show them you're capable of doing something. Now, for me to do the bare minimum, I've been working my ass off for 3 years, 24 hours every single day. I started from the phone to the computer screen to the Skype recorder. So you see there is a transition. I would like to eventually get a studio and start doing this in person and taking it to the next step. Yes, there's going to be transitions, or there's going to be different, backgrounds, and whatever. But the point is, if you're capable of doing something, just go out and do it. And if someone doesn't like it, too damn bad. It's not your job to please someone.
But that's the thing, to make a difference, let me see, one of my biggest role models in the acting world right now is Queen Latifah. And the reason why it's her is because she started off in rapping, and that's when I first heard of her. And then she started doing acting and everything, and then she created her name and her brand, but she still followed the expectations. Initially, she was a rapper. She did hip hop and she rapped and things like that, and that's what got her noticed. And she did enough to get noticed where it changed everyone's perception of who she was. So she met that bare minimum. And by default, she kept rising, because when she did the show Living Single, she changed again. You had this hardcore female rapper, and now she's playing, she wasn't 100% feminine or whatever, but she now had a more softer edge to her on the show Living Single. So again, she changed the perception of what a female rapper was supposed to be when she set that bare minimum, and then she evolved that. And then going from that, she did film, she did the movies, she did her talk show. She's still evolving and still changing. She is now, I think she's or maybe even the only plus-size cover girl. And she wears it well. I'm not the biggest thing in the world. I'm, 139. I'm solid muscle, and no other female in this world will intimidate me but her. Because I'm damn, if I put on 50 pounds, I ain't going to look that good. Shit, that's some fucked up shit. Why can't I look that good when I'm at 50 plus pounds? I will never be able to carry her body type, her physique, her shape, her positive attitude, her, I'm not capable of looking that good the way she does. So again, she's still evolving and still changing what is, but she started by doing the bare minimum. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Started here, and once she started evolving, she's continued to force us to see a change. But if she didn't set that bare minimum, we probably wouldn't see her today. So that's what I mean. There's that bare minimum that we have to at least comply with. And once we get past that bare minimum, then we can start writing the story we see fit. So do you think, that's what I was like, do you think that's something you would want to do? Like, to get studio time and things like that, you're going to have to hit that bare minimum, you know, so that way they see, okay, all right, there's something to his show. All right, we might want to, you know, get him up in here and see what he's got to offer us, see how his show is going to be so much different from everyone else's that's already out there and doing things differently. And then from that point on, now you've got a new market to reach. Now you got a new evolution that you have to combat with because you've made that bare minimum. Now you got to keep evolving and keep changing and keep growing, so that way you don't lose your market, you don't lose your fan base, that you continue to grow and you continue to show them, this is the story I want to tell, and this is the way I want to tell it. But you got to hit that bare minimum mark so they'll want to hear the story you want to tell. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I think there's two things I can still do, but I'm doing the best I can as a learning this about it. But if there's people out there that want to help me, I appreciate it. But you know, there's 100 things I want to do. It's just I'm doing the best I can as a learning design. I know that sounds like an excuse, but I'm doing the best I can as a disability.
Okay. But you do have aspirations to go above and beyond?
No,
okay.
Absolutely. Now, wrapping up, how can people follow you on social media? And when I first approached you, what was your honest opinion on me? I know we did that demo interview. It wasn't that perfect. I'm sorry. It was my fault. But how do you feel about this interview? And wrapping up, do you have anything to say to your fans and listeners?
My first impression of you was, like I said, okay, he has an idea, just need to work on the execution. So that was my first impression. And again, because remember, I did a radio show, Street Speak, and we had guests, we had independent artists on the show at all times, from musicians to actors to film directors to writers. To, like, we've had an assortment of independent artists always on the show. And part of that, the fun part I had about it, like, I have a background in marketing. So I got to use my background in marketing to help promote those artists that we brought onto the show and things like that. And people were listening in. That was the shocking part. Like, people were so surprised to listen in and hear who we were talking about and all of this and things like that. The other plus side was I got to learn so much about every guest before they came on the show, because if we were interested in having them on the show, we had to do our research. We had to know what were all the projects and productions they've been a part of, and what their role was, how they managed to do it, things along those lines, you know. It was something we had to know, because if they're talking about a project that they worked on and we didn't see it, yeah, that's not good for the show. So that was something that was fun, and I co-hosted with Jason Davis, because Jason Davis is actually a writer. He's an author. So it was fun because you got two different aspects and opinions, because he has it from the writing standpoint, from the author standpoint. He's written scripts as well, too. And I'm purely from the actor aspect, you know, from what he would do as a writer. I can only deliver as the actor. So it was a fun little combination with the two of us with two different understandings and backgrounds of how something is created. But at the same time, it enabled us to talk with so many different artists. And neither of us having a music background, when we had the musicians come on the show, that was even more fun. It opened us up to different aspects and different avenues that we didn't touch yet, but maybe we should. And that's what made the show a lot of fun for us. You know, like, we're on hiatus because we're both too busy with stuff we're doing right now. Him and his books and stuff, and me with the acting and everything. So it was just getting a little too difficult to do it once a week. But we had fun, and I enjoyed it. And I love the fact that people were invested. So that's, you know, that's what I caught when I first started, when you first reached out to me. I was just like, okay, he's still green in this. There's a lot more he'll learn. if he wants to learn, I didn't ever think you didn't want to learn it. But I'm like, there's a lot more he's going to learn. There's a lot more he's going to have to pick up. There's a lot more he's going to have to do if he wants to keep evolving with this show. So that was my first impression. Like, it's something you love, obviously. Anyone who's been to your website or anything can tell this is something that you love. This is a passion of yours. And my only hope was that that passion would equate to growth, that passion would make you want to learn as much about this as possible and how to do it the right way and how to make sure your voice is being heard as well as the voice of your actors and or your guests and their followers and their fans and things along those lines. I was just like, he's going to learn it. He's going to learn it. And when you do and when you get to that level, like, it's going to be totally different. Like, it's going to be different, I think.
No, I hope so.
So, yeah, I see growth. I can see growth coming from you because you seem like you want to learn. You want to do more. So I see the growth coming.
No, it's a learning experience.
Yes. But that's what makes it fun. Everything should be a learning experience.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, do you have anything you want to say to your fans and listeners?
Hi! No, okay. I want to thank you guys for listening in, for following. I think I got so many people that cross-follow me. So we've got the Twitter, which is Anita N. Brown. We've got Facebook, which is Anita Nicole Brown. And it's the actress. That is my professional page. And then we have my Instagram, which is Anita_Nicole_Brown. So, but they all somehow cross. Yeah, I found so many of them on my Facebook page and my Twitter page, and they're all over the place. So any of you guys that are there, thank you guys so much for continuing to follow me, for constantly believing in me. I want to thank Nathan Brendan Masters. He's one of the writers and directors I'm always working with, because he was the first one who took the chance on casting me as a type 1 diabetic character and making the character a type 1 diabetic. Since then, we got Samuel from In the Loop, which is Two Guys on a Reel production. And they allowed my character to wear her insulin pump without making the character a diabetic. Like, they let the insulin pump be seen and everything, but they didn't say my character was a diabetic. It was just not addressed, which I thought was another cool avenue to take it. So that made me feel good. I want to thank Willie Atkins. He's with Breaking Fate Entertainment. I worked on quite a few productions with him, and I did my first inspired type 1 diabetic pride photo shoot with him, and showcasing. It was implied nude photo shoot, but the accent was on the insulin pump. And I want to thank him so much for wanting to work with me on that, and always casting me in some of his productions and letting what I do shine. Like, I've won some awards because of his work. Anthony Cooney, he's with, T Nasty Productions. I love working with him, and I thank him for always giving me the opportunity. Like, with him, it's always like, what are your glucose levels at? Okay, so you're good? All right, let's go then. Like, so it's like, it's always, I want to make sure you're good first, and then we'll move forward. Like, and so that was something that I loved about working with him. There's like so many productions that have gone above and beyond, especially when bringing a type 1 diabetic onto their set. And with an independent production, you can imagine, like, money and everything is tight, but they always make sure I'm okay. They always do their best to make sure I'm going to be fine. We got Jim with, I'm working on animated, so I do voiceover work with him, and he does the same job. He'll have like a stack of complex carbohydrates, which are usually Cliff bars, sitting in the studio when we go and record all the voiceover work and stuff like that. So it's a lot of people that have been I don't want to say fighting this fight with me as a type 1 diabetic, but they're helping with the cause, because to them, I'm no different. But to the larger world, I am. And having them on my side to help me fight this fight and showcase it is something that I'm forever grateful for. And I know I left off some people, but don't think you guys are being ignored. We got Stephen and Danny. You guys, I love you. We got, it's so many of you guys. We got the whole, there's a new series, the Conrad series. You know, I still love you guys. I got Charles, who's coming out with the new project, Lorelei. He's also a type 1 diabetic, and he's the writer and creator of the show. So you guys are not being ignored. I love you guys too, and I thank you guys for wanting to become a part of, I guess, this fight. So this fight and this battle. So I want to thank them all for helping me out.